egress out and by foot is going to be by the 600-foot Parker's Pond that you now own down there to get to Parker Street. So I've been kind of asking the city to try to keep it open, you know, because they don't listen to me. But people do still go out through there. We can still get out through there now. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that will stay open. And then as far as the Keys Road, they put in a culvert afterwards. But in the interim, in 1938, the men had to, our fathers had to take the boat across the pond to Douglas Road to get the groceries and bring them in until they got it fixed. So it's not a good thing not having a egress, you know. Yeah. And then that 600 feet of Parker's Pond there, like I said, that's our only access out, and by foot. And if the I don't know why they didn't want to, the city didn't want to maintain it, but they didn't have any interest at all in it. In fact, when I brought it up, I said, how about keeping that? It was a cart road, and you can see where the cart road was way down. He built it all up, that roadway. That was all built up. And when I'd ask about keeping the cart road open, I was told to get a lawyer.
Oh.
Oh, golly. But, you know, a lot of people probably got more than I have. I know a lot of the, in my day, a lot of the young folks used to go out to, at that time, the land belonged to Alan's father, and they used to go out there swimming. I never went out there, but the guys used to go out there swimming. So it's now Alan's property.
That was before my time, Joanne. That was a little before
I know.
my time. Yeah.
I know. That's what I said.
Way back, 1920s, 1930s.
It was my time, well, we were here in around 36, I think. We came in. Dad started building the property, his cellar hole, and he'd work all day, upholstering, standing up, tacks in his mouth, and he'd have supper, and then I was told he'd come down here and start digging the cellar hole.
Yeah.
He was a worker. He was a worker. Yeah.
Joanne, did your dad work for one of the furniture companies?
Oh, he worked for cousins Russo's too. Mm. Yeah, he worked for the Allen's father and his father and grandfather. I don't know if you guys know this, but my meme and Alan's grandfather, Joe Russo, my meme was Selina Russo. They were brother and sister.
Oh, so you're related.
We're first cousins. A number of years, Alan, we are a number of years apart.
Just a couple. Just a couple. I'm still waiting for my vaccine shot, by the way. So wish I was a little older. I'd already have it. So.
Well, should we start?
Yeah, we'll go ahead. I am recording it, so if there are some that want to be able to view it later, they certainly could do that.
And it's an intimate group, so maybe we should just go around and introduce ourselves really quick.
Yeah, you know, I had a whole PowerPoint slide. I'm wondering if it's necessarily needed at this point. I don't feel that it is, unless David or Chris, you have things that you're curious about. Obviously, like she said, it's an intimate group, so we can all just share as we want, right? Anna, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Anna Wilkins. I'm the Executive Director for North County Land Trust. I'm really happy to be here and to meet Joanne, and of course here see again David and Chris, who are who have been friends of the organization for a little while and participating in other things that we've done. And I'm also happy to have so many, both staff and board here. This was kind of this project was a little bit of a lark for us. We knew about the land, but we were, unsure how to go about making sure that it was preserved. And then of course, it kind of working with Keith Ross and the bank, we made it happen, which was great. But it all kind of happened very quickly for us. So now we're extremely pleased, but we want to be sure to be good neighbors and to be sure that we steward the property into the future in a way that is good for everyone. So this is sort of a very first step in that conversation and in that journey for us. So we want to make sure that we get a good sense of the human history and the neighbors' point of view, what their relationship with the land is, as we form our plans. So I guess that's like a little introduction to the meeting, which I probably shouldn't have gone into quite yet. But so I actually grew up in Gardner. My parents still live in Gardner. They own Surroundings Gallery, so they're small business owners in Gardner. And I graduated from Gardner High in 1998. I live in Ashburnham now, but I still I love Gardner, and it holds a special place in my heart. So this is kind of a special project for me in that way as well. So happy to be here. And now I guess I'll pass the baton to Lisa, and she can pass the baton around.
Yeah, so for those of you who are not familiar, I am the outreach and engagement coordinator. So I'm really excited to be part of this, trying to gather together the neighbors and make sure that we get everybody involved in the conversations and help in any way possible. But even more specifically, I'm looking forward to, as we move forward and we are able to have events and bringing people to that land so they can appreciate it as well, so they can have their own stories to tell their children and grandchildren about being able to access this great place. And we're just very excited about all of the possibilities for it, and glad that North County Land Trust could be a part of that process. Emma, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I'm Emily Merlino. I'm the stewardship coordinator for North County Land Trust. And I've lived in Central Mass my whole life, so I get excited every time we conserve more land here, because it means more hiking, more places to get outside and find some peace in nature. And I'm particularly excited about this project because there's already a lot of really amazing spots on this property, some great trails that just need a little cleaning up and some signage and a nice map so that you can find your way. And hoping to get some help out there from some of the neighbors, get a stewardship group going, and just get our hands dirty and get out there.
Jassy, would you like to talk? Your turn.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to join us tonight. My name is Jassy Bratko. I'm the Director of Land Protection for North County Land Trust. And so I work with acquiring properties and then managing the properties once we have acquired them. We have 8 now conservation areas that are open to the public. They range from a little place in Fitchburg, 1.25 acres, to our largest conservation area, which is actually in Gardner at 175 acres, our own conservation area. So some of our conservation areas are in the city, some of them are out in rural areas, but we try with all of them to make them, the conservation areas that have trails, we want them to be very user-friendly. We want people who may not be comfortable being out in the woods to easily find their way around, to have well-marked trails, a good trail map, and to feel very comfortable using the woods. And then we offer a lot of educational programming, owl prowls and fungi walks and ponding, different educational programs for people of all ages. And then of course, the other really important thing that we consider is the habitat on the property. We've done some major habitat work at our Dwelly Farm Conservation Area in Gardner with removing invasive plants and clearing a meadow for pollinators. We've done timber harvest at our Rome Conservation Area, which was mainly to diversify the forest so it could better withstand climate change. And we're also embarking on a new stewardship plan for our Crocker Conservation Area in Fitchburg. And now we're turning our attention to the Keys Conservation Area, and we really want to consider how we can improve the wildlife habitat out there so that it's beneficial for all the neighbors and the people who want to use it recreationally, but also for the wildlife. And so we're looking for input from all of you who may live in the area, who want to use the property. And also we'd love to have help, volunteer help, to help us in our work there.
Very nice, thank you, Darcy. Darcy, the way that we were going to run the meeting was exactly that, just kind of talk about North County Land Trust, and Jassy wanted to make sure that we covered some of just what we already do at all of our conservation areas and the important work of the land conservation, because that is what we are, a land conservation trust. I don't know if anyone else would like to speak now. I know one of the things that she was going to talk about a little bit was some of our thoughts for the property. I'm curious to know if you'd like to go down, if you'd like to continue and let Em talk about that, or if you guys want to already pipe in at all about anything. I think it's pretty loose as far as our agenda originally was, but I welcome anyone to speak up if they'd like to.
Just a thought I had, Lisa, is if we're going to record the meeting, we might want to go through the slides so that other people can, click on a link at our website and then view the Zoom recording. We might want to do that. And I know that we've got a guided hike planned in the near future, and that's another way for people to connect. I'm a little surprised there are more people actually on the call tonight, but I'm happy for those that have joined us. Because I know I met a number of people out there hiking over the past month. Some folks I've known for years, and some folks I just met out there on a hike on a Sunday afternoon. And so I know that there are people that are very much interested in the area. And if the group, and I'll leave it to the staff to make a final decision, of course, but if you'd like to go through some of the slides so that people can see a little bit more about the North County Land Trust and what we discussed at the meeting, it might be good.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm absolutely happy to do that, Alan, and I think it's a very good point. And I think you're right. I think I don't think that it was from disinterest that people weren't able to make it. I'm sure there's a whole host of reasons. And I think we're going to have a lot of positive engagement with this piece of land. So I'm excited about that. Let me show my slides here. There we go. I know it's blocked a little bit sometimes by whatever you might have on your screen, but that was the welcome. I wanted to point out this picture here. We were able to, a friend of Em, her father was able to do some drone photos for us, and Alan took some time to look through them and point out some interesting things, but they really show the vastness, I think, of this property, and just it's very unique in a lot of ways, I think. And certainly those in Gardner will recognize some of the stuff as if we were to look through all of them, they would recognize some of the railroad and the pond and so forth. So again, that was the original agenda, just making sure that we reach out and show you all of our different individuals, staff, and otherwise board members for North County Land Trust. And I know we heard from Anna about her perspective on what North County Land Trust does. So a little bit of our mission and our focus. I'm just going to go ahead and go through. This is just reminding everyone, if you're not familiar with Zoom, that it's recorded and you can mute at any time. This is a fun little photo collage here. So you'll see staff members there on the right. We had a little thank you to members, so I included that picture because we always like to appreciate those that are engaging with us. But on the left are board members. You'll see 8 of them who have been with us for a little bit, although Desiree on the bottom left is the newest of that crew. And then we have 2 new board members that just joined us in the last month, correct? Just recently. So we are a growing board and have a pretty good representation of the region that we have as far as the different towns and cities that we are involved in. So that's our conservation area, and of course our mission of conserving the land to protect the characteristic of our region. I'll leave it there for a second, and I will send this to individuals who want to have more information. I can send more links to your point, Alan, to make sure that they know exactly where to go.
So you're going to put this on Facebook?
That's a great question. I wasn't going to put it on Facebook, but I certainly can. Would emailing that to you, Joanne, be?
Oh, okay.
Would that work for you if I emailed that to you? Okay.
Yes.
I will definitely do that. I have about a dozen emails from those individuals currently, and I'm happy to get more emails and send those to whomever. This picture, the picture, you're not seeing it right now, Joanne, but I have a picture up here with our conservation areas, just pointing out different things that we do with the land. This is a little bit of what Jessie and Em were going to speak to, but you know, we have guided walks sometimes in all 4 seasons, certainly trail stewardship. Some are smaller groups, some are larger groups, but we definitely like to get people active and involved on the land, especially those that are going to be using the land. We like those to be the people that steward the land as well.
Well, I'm very happy. I'm sorry. I'm very happy that you're doing it. I'm telling you, you're saving our wells. You're a godsend, you guys. It worked out.
Well, there were a lot of people involved. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my neighbors said that the Lord listened to us.
There you are.
We've been fighting it since 2002. And then, so it took a long time, but the Lord was there for us. Thank God. Huh, Alan? Geez, oh whiz. Thank you.
It's great. I'm going to turn it over to Em just to see, because I started to do that before we decided to show the slides. So I'm going to take this moment and let her talk a little bit about the current and future use of the land. And definitely anybody pipe in if you have anything to say regarding this once Emily's
oh golly, you don't know what you're saying.
Quite all right.
Kidding. I'll be good.
Okay.
So the slide that's up right now is a picture of the property. It's an aerial view, so we can see where the roads are and where the development was supposed to be. And now that we have acquired the land, the current uses that we allow are passive recreation, so hiking, mountain biking, walking. We allow dogs. We allow horseback riding. No motorized vehicles, and that's what we do for all of our properties, all passive recreation. We have some things to think about on the property. So part of the reason we want to meet all of you, the neighbors, is to find out what visions you have for the property. If you'd like us to make improvements or work with the city to make improvements to Parker Pond, what kind of activities you'd like to see out on the property, what kind of walks, what kind of educational programs. So we really want to have engagement with the neighborhood and see what people are interested in doing there. And we also want to get people engaged in doing stewardship on the land, which we will have quite a bit to do. There are trails already there. There are some really nice places to visit on the property already, but the trails are eroded and they're not, we don't have any trail names or signs or maps. So hoping to get people involved in working with us to do some trail work and maybe help us name some trails if we build some new trails. Maybe figure out what other people's favorite places on the property are, what stories they might have. So we're really excited to engage in that way. And we also know that this property has kind of been through the ringer. It's very degraded in a lot of areas. So we want to find out what the best way to restore this property is. So we're looking into some ecological restoration to see how we can improve the property and how we can make it more stable as time goes on.
Sounds good.
Sorry, I was muted for a second. Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to discuss while we're here about any thoughts they have about what just discussed? I know we have a new person here. Sorry, I'm trying to manage my PowerPoint and everything as well, but is it Doreen? Is that correct?
Doreen, are you there?
I think that
My neighbor?
I think she's on mute. I think she's
she
on mute.
is on mute.
Yeah, but she's
Yeah.
in online. So Doreen, if you can click on the lower left-hand side of your screen, lower left, there's a mute microphone icon.
I think
Just
she
click
got
on
it.
that. And it'll... Yeah, good, great.
Hello.
On?
Yes.
Oh, good. Hi, Doreen. Joanne.
Hi, Joanne. How you doing?
I'm on the phone. I don't know how to get on the darn Zoom.
It's not an easy thing for some people.
I know it.
Well,
It wasn't easy for us.
Nope.
Oh, hi, Ronnie.
Hey, how you doing?
Good,
Well,
good.
we are glad to have you guys here, and I am recording this, so you will be able to watch it in its entirety later. So I'll make sure that you have that.
Okay.
So I'm not seeing. So one of the things that we, especially if we had more neighbors, it was our intention to have some people share their stories of the land. We've seen on some Facebook things and certainly through word of mouth. Alan has shared stories with us. Just a lot of people have a lot of history, as we've heard already. So I want to encourage anybody who's out there who wants to share their own stories. We do have a place on the website. There's a form on there that individuals can share their stories as well. And I believe the importance of that is not only so that everyone feels like this is part of their land and continues to be part of their story, but I think as Em was discussing, and certainly Jassy spoke to with how we relate to the land, I think it's important to remember that, we do take those things into consideration when we're making plans, when we're developing new trails, when we're naming trails, right? This is all part of careful consideration. So I just want everyone to know that. And I don't know if Em or Jassy or Anna or anyone else has anything to continue with that, but I do think it's important. And I want you all to know that it is important that we have the full picture and the full story.
Lisa, I was wondering if I could put Chris on the spot.
Absolutely.
Chris Para. I'm glad you could join us. Chris, I know you and I had spoken a little bit about the history of some of the land here, and we know that there is an old cellar hole belonging to Ebenezer Keyes, one of the founding fathers of Gardner. But you were telling me that this is the site of some historic surveying marks.
Yeah, I think, so just for an introduction to myself, my name is Chris Pear. I've been a lifelong resident of Gardner, very active and involved in local history. So that's one of my things that I certainly enjoy quite a bit. I'm also involved in the scouting program locally. So my love of the outdoors came through scouting and continues to be that way. And I guess that also shaped my choice of profession, I guess. So I'm a land surveyor by profession and work with Jassy and Emily to help do some work over up there in Fitchburg at the Quarry Lane property. So I went to talk with Jassy probably last month, and when I heard this exciting news that the Land Trust had obtained this property, knowing that the Ebenezer Keyes place was out there, and have certainly heard. I've never visited the site to see if the cellar hole is still there. I'm assuming it has been. I think the original plans show that it was supposed to be preserved as open space. So hopefully when they were doing construction, they still preserve that there.
It's still there.
Great.
Yeah.
So from the surveying end, I think down over by Parker's Pond, back in the early 1900s, the state did a lot of land surveying for the town boundaries. They were realigning town boundaries. And supposedly out where I guess look at the plan of the lots right now, somewhere around where lot 99, 98 used to be, down the corner near Parker's Pond, there's supposedly an old survey marker out there that was used to help doing some of that state mapping. So I'd be interested to see if it's still out there. Like I said, I haven't visited the property to find it. But so that was one of the things that that I mentioned to Jassy, that when we do those types of things, along with all the educational part of the conservation that's out there in the wildlife, there's also the historical artifacts and highlights to the property as well. So as much as we highlight that and show that as part of education programs, or just a trail marker or something showing what that is, you never kind of know what the land was used for until you really kind of delve into the history. And certainly there's a lot of history out there in that area. Joanna, was interesting listening to your story about where the culvert is, because I know in that site is where the Neelan property was. So over there, coming right off of Parker Street, or West Street. So there's certainly a lot of history out in that area that some people just don't realize. So that's one of the things that I found kind of interesting. And then I shared some other ideas with Jassy and Anna as well, as far as some conservation things with having a site that is might have, as you mentioned, some rough spots where the development happens. It almost kind of, in my opinion, gives an opportunity to kind of be able to strategically develop certain areas. And when I say develop, I mean purposely planting certain types of trees. So kind of like an arboretum, where you highlight some trees that we really don't see too often. I'm a big fan of, I can't even think of, certain types of trees when I travel. I love taking pictures of these large trees when I do my work. So to plant some of those things that you normally don't see out in the general neighborhood, I think would be kind of a neat thing to do. You certainly won't see the benefits probably in our lifetime, but 50 years from now, the next generation could see some really wonderful planned forestry, I think, in those areas that may have been disturbed through the development process. So those are kind of some of the things that I was thinking of when I heard that this property was in the hands of the Land Trust, and the opportunities that we might have to use the land for. So thanks. That's it for now, I think. I think that answered your question, Jassy.
Yes, it did, Chris. Thank you. And I was interested when you said that survey mark was to relocate the town boundaries, because in our Rome conservation area, we've got 3 granite posts that mark the town boundary. absolutely not where the town boundary is today.
Right. Yeah,
It
it changed,
got me
things
very
change.
confused when I first went out there. I didn't know where I was, but so that's interesting to hear. So thank you. But we do like to take into consideration the history of a piece of land and highlight important historical facts if we can. So certainly the Ebenezer Keys Foundation would be an important place, and you know, Joanne's story about the hurricane. And
I have pictures too, Jazzy. I'm going to give you some pictures of the hurricane.
That's great. We would love to have them.
You should see the railroad tracks. Gone.
Whoa, I can imagine. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
We also had some really interesting stories about what the horse stable that was there and the unfortunate fire. I mean, there's a lot of history, and Chris, I love that you said the trees too, because I feel like you're absolutely correct. The trees are part of the story too, right? The natural landscapes that are there. They can't tell us their story in words, but they've told us in other ways, right? So I definitely think that's all part of the consideration that we want to bring forward.
Oh, and we've had eagles sighted there too.
Nice.
Eagles are back.
That's great.
Is that recently, Joanne?
Oh yeah, the past couple of years. Yeah, one of my neighbors got a picture of one of the eagles, and he had it in the Garden of News. It was on the pond.
Oh.
And people have seen them in that vicinity. Yeah.
They are making a comeback. It's great to see.
Good. Yes. Thank goodness.
Joanne was worried about me being out there with my daughter with the bear. Right?
Yeah, there are bears out there. I tell everybody that. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Does anyone else have anything else they wanted to share at this point? No.
Lisa, it's Alan. Just
Yeah.
one of the things I would point out is the picture you have on the screen right now, which is kind of a nice shot. You know, and these were done with the drone. It was recently out on the property flying around, got quite a few pictures. And this one here oversees there's a wetland replication area just down below this. And that was part of the DEP's superseding order of conditions because a piece of wetlands was removed for a wetland crossing by the road. So the replicate is about 3,000 square feet. It's right at the base of this center lower part of the picture. And then if you look up a little bit higher, you'll see what looks like a little pond. And I believe from this shot, although I haven't studied it in detail before this moment, it looks like a small pool that is right in front of the culvert that goes underneath the railroad tracks. Its positioning makes sense, but it looks like it's that pool. It's a very large culvert. It's about 4 feet by 4 feet. It goes under the railroad grade, and right on the other side of that hill that's at is the Otter River. So it's the closest point that the Otter River actually is to this this conservation area.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat things out there, and you know, I've been out on that property all of my life because my family's property is right next door, and every time I'm out there, I almost literally see something new. You know, sometimes it's some small detail, but the property is so large at 157 acres that you know, if you go out there and you really spend some time out there, and this time of year is a great time to do that because you can see into the woods so well without the leaves and all the white snow in the background. All of the really tremendous features, natural and historic features of the property. So just thought I'd share that while we're on this particular picture.
Absolutely.
How lucky can you get, right?
It is a very nice area. You know, there's no doubt about it. This is really a gem.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, well, I'm putting some pictures together for you guys, and I've got a book on all different types of birds. It gives all their history. I think I'll put that in there for you too, because you do birding, right?
We do, yes. Yeah, that would be a
Okay.
great property with all the,
I didn't know who to give these bird pictures to, but I just thought of it tonight when I was on the phone here. I said, heck, I'm going to give them to you guys.
well, that'd be
Okay.
wonderful. That'd be great. Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I just switched over to a screen that says share your thoughts. So on just to what you're saying there, I really want people to know that they can come and visit the North County Land Trust website. We have a page there for this property. And like I said before, there's a spot for where people can share their stories if they'd like. Obviously, they can write us emails, send anything in the mail. All of that's completely appropriate, but I wanted there to be multiple ways that people could share their stories. We do plan to have more meetings as things move along, and we want to involve not only the neighbors, but the surrounding community as well. I'm not going to speak particularly to that because we don't necessarily have anything in place at this exact moment, other than we do have plans for a stewardship group, like had mentioned before, for those that want to volunteer with that. We also have a walk coming up that we're going to send out more information, hopefully first thing next week, about a walk that we're going to have on the 28th. Is that correct? On the 28th of this month, which is a Sunday at 1 o'clock. So I'll be sending more information out, certainly to the neighbors, but I believe we discussed in a team meeting today that we're going to open that up for others that also might want to come and view this place. So it'll be a great spot. Obviously, we'll have staff members there. I imagine some board members will want to join us, and I just hope that people can get out there. Hopefully it won't be too icy so everyone feels comfortable, but we really want to get people out there and seeing the property that we've been talking about that's been getting a lot of information out there between the newspaper and Facebook and our website. I think a lot of people have been talking about it in very positive ways, so we're excited to share that. And that was that. I was going to say, remind people about that meeting on the walk on February 28th at 1. And I will, again, be mailing something out, or I think maybe we'll even send it out to some of those neighbors. Since it's not a huge neighborhood there, we can go door to door and drop off a little postcard reminder. And you can help out with that as well if you want. Help us pass it out. Spread the word. I'm going to open it up to everybody. I'm going to stop my screen share so I can see everybody again. But I am so thankful that the people that are here were able to make it. It's you never know how many people we're gonna. Oh, we got Bonnie on. We have another person joining us here at the end. Another neighbor.
Bonnie.
Bonnie, yeah.
Hi, Bonnie.
She can probably hear me, not respond yet.
Oh, she can't hear me. Okay.
There she is.
Yeah, she's only almost an hour late. 2 hours late.
I think she had another meeting. Is that correct? She had something else going on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, Bonnie. I would love to, I don't know if any other North County Land Trust staff members wanted to speak. I know Anna just took herself off mute. I don't know if she had any closing words that she wanted to share with us. But again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be able to chat a little bit and get the conversation started. And we're excited at the prospect of this property.
No, I just wanted to welcome Bonnie, and I also wanted to hear from David, since he took the time to join us from the Concom, kind of and also sort of from a forestry perspective, and also from Bonnie, since she just joined us. Thanks for joining us, even after all your zooming. We're all zoomed out, I'm sure. And then Doreen and And your partner there, is that Ray? I didn't
Yeah,
catch your
Ron. Ron.
She's my partner.
Oh, great. So,
Lifetime.
so why don't we start with David? Do you want to? What do you think about this area and this opportunity from your point of view?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, so I've been a resident gardener for over 25 years myself, and I work in nearby Petersham at Harvard Forest, and I am on the Gardener Conservation Commission. But I've been there a couple of times. The last time we were looking at it from the solar installation point of view from the Concom, so I'm thrilled to see that it's something different. There's a lot of potential out there, a lot of neat habitat. I mean, my questions are related to whether you put any signs out there, whether you do any plantings. I'm with Chris on the plantings. It might be for either herbaceous or tree or shrubs and bird boxes and stuff like that. So it's been a while. I haven't seen the whole property, but anxious to and looking forward to doing so.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot better than 5 solar farms, huh?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Jesus. I love it.
So I'm so it's great to have the my voice is kind of wonky. Okay, I'll be right back, everybody.
There's something with her voice.
Oh, I thought she was growling.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me.
Was that her? I thought it, yeah, I said, what's going on?
David, I'd like
Sorry to show up so late. We had a issue arise unexpectedly. Obviously, I missed just about everything as Anna starts the closing message, but I'm just wondering if you're going to be sending minutes out after this, just so I can kind of fill in the blanks and not cause too much redundancy. And then one thing I don't know if it was talked about is where there's currently gates or cinder blocks at both ends of the property. Does the land trust know at this point which side, or if both will be the main point of entrance or main access, or if they'll be equal?
Bonnie, I think I can answer that. Tentative plans right now are for both ends to be access points.
Right.
We have talked about maybe replacing those cinder blocks with a gate, but none of our plans are carved in stone yet. We really have to think about, this is part of why we have this meeting tonight, to hear from people who live in the area, to hear pros and cons of doing that. But it would seem to make sense to us to keep access points at both ends.
For sure. Well, that's one of the reasons I ask, is because I know that people, several of the households at the end of Princeton Street are just, one of their concerns for down the road would be parking on Princeton Street, because there are a handful of the driveways there that, should parking be down that way, if people were to park on the road, it would be difficult for them to easily maneuver through their driveways. I also know too that when I first moved into the neighborhood, I was told that the street itself is by zone is not wide enough to support parking, but down at the far end, it's kind of a little roundabout, not cul-de-sac, but it's a turnaround point. So just on behalf of those neighbors, I do know that that would be a concern for them, should parking overflow onto the road. So
that's a very good point you raise, and the good news is that there is plenty of room on the Princeton Street end, if we were to move the gate, to perhaps make a better parking area than having people park on the road. At the Keys End Road, there's definitely areas where we could make a really nice trailhead.
Uh-oh. She comes back.
Unfortunately, on the Keys End Road, I don't know if there's enough for 2 cars to come each way.
With parking, so
they have a big bump out that Sweeney put in. And when you're coming into Keys Road at the stop sign, somebody leaving Keys Road, there's not enough room for 2 cars. You have to wait. So that
Yeah.
might be something you guys want to look at down here, because
Nobody's looked at the road?
I don't think
As
they've
of
looked
yet?
at the road. No, this is just the beginning stages.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Dane could take it off. Take that spot off the road.
Would there be a possibility of within the area, beyond the cinder blocks or beyond the gates, to have a parking area within? I mean, as everyone knows, there's already a paved road that goes through there. So would there be the potential to have a parking area off of that paved road somewhere? So that way it's not narrowing Keys Road or Princeton down at the cul-de-sac.
Well, where did they park? Do you know where? Anybody know where they parked when they had the clam bakes over there?
We
At our house.
In the
At
in
the
the
Burgess
property?
house.
I was young and
Well,
but
yeah,
I thought we parked on the fields
They
themselves.
did.
there
They
is a
had
field out
busing.
there. Right,
Yeah.
there is a field.
Yes,
Yeah, I
but
think
not
I
anymore.
think they parked in the, further on into the property, way down past
Right.
Keys Road.
Yeah.
In near the field. And I think the other thing, at one time, I thought they had bused people in from
They
the.
They
did.
did at one time,
did.
later,
But
Later
later
the
on.
whole
Which was
landscape
on the
has
other side.
changed.
Yeah, the whole landscape has changed since then, but
Yeah.
yes, it was very hard even when they bust them in
Mhm.
because the buses were so wide,
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was difficult then.
but it was still fun.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
times. They were
We
good.
do
listened to
another
the
plan.
music,
It's good times.
listen to the music all day, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
those are very good points about the parking and definitely something that we'll be taking into account. So thank you for raising those concerns.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we hear from everybody? Doreen and Ron, do you have any other things that are on your mind? Are you guys, where
We're
are you
just-
guys located? On Keys?
On Keys Road. yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, Keys Road.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
Why is that? Why do you say that, Ron?
because for the last 30 years, that area has been a party area.
Yeah,
Drugs
okay.
and alcohol. So
Yep.
our house gets the brunt of it till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully things
So-
will change now.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be at least organized now, you know, that'll be a lot better
Yeah.
to be organized.
Yeah, so we're wondering about gates. Do they put gates or they don't put gates? If it's conservation land, do they keep it wide open?
Jessie?
Yeah, I would say that property will definitely have gates because without gates, cars would be driving in there all day
Mhm.
long. So we will definitely want to have gates on there.
So it'll be open at certain times? Are you
No,
thinking?
No, I think, the gates would be such that people can walk around them very easily, but vehicles can't drive in. That's what we've
Right.
done.
That would be good.
Yeah, that's what we've done with our other properties because we don't want to discourage people from hiking or mountain biking, but we certainly don't want motorized vehicles in there at this point. Especially
That's-
we don't want cars driving in there.
That's a
Now,
real good idea.
What about this, like snowmobiles, ATVs, like all of that? Is that going to be illegal?
So currently no motorized vehicles are allowed on any of our properties.
Nice.
And that is our current policy use for keys, but we have not yet made final decisions about that. I guess I would really love to hear from those of you who are here tonight what your thoughts are about allowing motorized vehicles of any type.
Well, we can hear them.
It would
That's
be-
how close we are.
It would be
Right.
an all through the night party
And
area if
that's
it was
the
opened
thing.
up to snowmobiles and dirt bikes
Right.
like
So
it is now.
And I guess that's one of the questions that I would have along with Ron and Doreen is that if it stays if the land were to stay as it's posted now of no motorized vehicles, how does the Conservation Land Trust enforce that on their other properties at that point? Or how would they do that with this particular property? Because it's not supposed to be any motorized vehicles down there now, but there is constantly.
Right,
Um,
constantly.
And I mean, to the
Constantly.
best of my knowledge, unless someone calls the cops on them, it's not otherwise enforced. And I know that even beyond the gates, whether no matter Princeton or Keys, there's trails that come in from the railroad tracks. You know, so whether the gates are there or not, it's still easy to access the property with the dirt bikes, four-wheelers, whatnot. I myself don't have an issue with responsible people using the type of equipment,
Right.
Four-wheelers and dirt bikes and having fun with recreational vehicles. Unfortunately, you know, you get the good with the bad. So, you know, I guess my main question would be is like, how is that enforced, if at all?
Jesse, you want to?
Yeah, so it's it's interesting you should say that, because today actually we heard about a property that we have in Fitchburg, our Crocker Conservation Area, that has some snowmobile traffic, which is definitely not permitted there. The way we enforce it is by well-placed gates where necessary. Well-placed rocks I have always found to be very helpful where you find access points where these vehicles are coming in. If you don't just put one or two rocks, but a whole series of rocks on a trail so that it becomes annoying for people to access it. And then if we do know of people, sometimes you can trace exactly where those vehicles have come from. Then we will send a letter, we will contact the people in person and do our very best to make them understand that that is a use that's not permitted. So
Sounds good.
we also hope that with additional good uses, you know, permitted uses, more eyes on the property, that behaviors that you may not want to see out there will be discouraged because there'll be more people using it in a good way.
Yeah, they're not using it in good ways right now.
Nope.
There's the fireworks, the guns, the snowmobiles, the dirt bikes. I mean, we use it in a good way, but a lot of people don't.
Right. But I
The
think
drug use, the partying.
yeah, I think it really helps. The more people you can get to use it in the way you want to use it, the less of those objectionable activities you'll see.
Good. So is the landscape going to stay the same? Because there's like huge piles of gravel and, you know, I mean, he changed the whole scene of it.
Yeah.
So we're working and right now we're just exploring different companies to talk with about ecological restoration. Emily and I certainly want to meet with different experts in the field and find a company that will help us choose the best way. I know David and Chris, you were talking about planting trees and so on. We want to work with experts who will tell us the best way to enhance the wildlife habitat out there. We don't necessarily have that expertise ourselves, but that's what we'll be looking to do over the next year or so.
Well, and I want to temper, this is Anna Wilkins again. I just want to say it's also going to take funding. And so we're going to, you know, we're a nonprofit organization. We have access to certain grants that can help, that could help us. But we need to, you know, secure that funding in order to do the prescribed work, in order to help restore some of the areas that can be restored. And, you know, there's a lot, some of those piles have broken up bits of concrete.
Yep.
Broken
you know,
TVs.
Television.
Tele-
there's
yeah.
that old, you know,
Couches.
so there's, you know, we're going to do our best, and we're going to try to get advice from people who know what they're talking about. But I don't know how much, you know, it's going to look, the longer that we let nature take over, the better it's going to look. But
Right.
I don't know
right.
that. I don't know that it's gonna look the way it used to ever
We
again.
can show you some spots that need to be cleaned up. we
Oh,
can definitely
absolutely.
do that.
And actually, that's a great segue to Emily and perhaps, you know, one of our ideas about, you know, some of that culture change that you're talking about, making it
Mhm.
Into a place that's, you know, the culture is the passive recreational use. The culture is you're not partying there. The culture is you're packing out what you pack in.
There you go.
Yeah, some of that is going to depend on the engagement and the involvement of you know, people like yourselves, people in the neighborhood, and then also, you know, us making sure that that the people who are out there and potentially volunteering for us are supported. I know the city will, you know, we've gotten, you know, Jassy and I have met with the mayor a couple times, and he seems supportive of, you know, us making this a nice place for folks. So I'm thinking that if we go to him and we say, hey, can we get some, you know, get a police detail to come, you know, scope it out a few times while we're setting up this new culture there. I think that he'd probably be amenable to that. But I'm sure, yeah. And so
There's already a cruiser that comes by on daily rounds as well.
Oh, good. That's
Not
great.
up and down Keys Road, not very often on Keys. I see him go up Princeton.
Yeah, he runs the length of Princeton and Watkins.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
And we're lucky if we see him once a shift, 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm always outside. So
unless we call.
So
that's
so
good that they're there.
But they probably figure it's a dead end road. Maybe that's why. Maybe they figure it's a dead end. I don't know.
Maybe if you
We're
let
dead end too.
driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I could interject on the, we talked quite a bit about security of the property. And, you know, one of the things that I think we can do once we get a little bit more experience and some more folks out there observing is to get Richard Brax involved. Richard Brax is the police chief of Gardner right now. Good man. I think if a board member and a staff person came in, scheduled a meeting with him, kind of outline the current situation that we're having out there, I'm sure he'd be willing to devote some time from some of his detectives to help us figure out who is doing the most bad stuff out there.
That would be great.
You know, I had a break into my property this very time last year. It was Valentine's Day weekend, okay? And I got the police down there. They responded very well. 2 detectives were assigned to it. I got immediate email and phone call follow-up from these detectives. We tracked down a missing generator that was stolen. We found out generally who was doing it, even though it couldn't be proven at the time. But my point would be, Gardner's not like Boston. You know, we've got it's a small city. The police department's very much in touch with the population, and because this conservation is such a good area out here, I'm sure we'd get full support from the police chief to do any further security work out there.
Yeah, that would be real good.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a question. This is Bonnie. From here, after this meeting, I guess what's the next step that the conservation takes, and as far as the next plan of action is?
That's a great question. Yeah, Jassy, you want to answer? Or
Yeah, I think that the first thing that we want to do is, and I'm going to ask Emily in a minute to explain our conservation area monitor program, but the first thing that we want to do is to actually make a trail map and mark some trails and put some signs, which we've already had made at the entrance points, so that people are aware that this is now a conservation area and that it's used. And we're going to meet with different companies to discuss ecological restoration. We're going to be looking at grant funding, as Anna mentioned. Funding for all of our plans is a very big thing. And I'm going to turn it over to Emily now. So Emily, perhaps you can explain how our conservation area monitor program works and how that could help us with our plans for the future.
Yes, so we have a conservation area monitor program. We have 1 or 2 monitors at all of our properties, and that person who has volunteered to be a monitor will walk all of the trails on that property once a month and send us a report, let us know if there's any trail work that's needed, if there are any trees down across the trail, if they see an awful lot of trash, or if they notice anything that we need to give some attention to. So our volunteers who take these positions are really, really important. I'm only one person, and I can't be at all of our areas at once, or sometimes even once a month. So it's great to have these people who like to be out on the trail, and they can give me some really valuable information and photos, and sometimes they even enjoy doing some of the trail work themselves. So they'll clear a tree for me, or they'll clear some brush that's across the trail and just let me know that this was some work they needed to do and they got it done. So we do have one of our monitors who was working on another property. He has been doing some rounds already at the Keys property. So he's been checking out the trails and kind of doing some discovery, sending me photos of things he's seen, some of the trash that we need to pick up, some of the snowmobiles and cars and things that we need to get hauled out of there. So we do have one set of eyes on the property already, which is great, but we'll be looking for 1 or 2 other monitors who want to make some rounds of the property and kind of keep their eyes on it once a month, so that I have an idea of big things that need to be done, or trees down, or things that we need to be paying attention to. So that's really one of the biggest things that we need to do now is kind of get someone or a couple people who want to be out there and kind of be my eyes for a little bit.
We want the property to stop looking abandoned and to look like a well-used, well taken care of conservation area.
So I guess that leads into my next question and probably answers it, is that while you're still in all these development phases, we can still legally access the trails at this point?
Absolutely, yeah.
You never know when property changes hands, so.
No, it's from the moment we got it, the trails have been open, and please feel free if you see interesting things out there, if there are things that you notice, feel free to email us. I'm happy to go check things out if you see something you think needs our attention. But yeah, please feel free, go out, explore,
We've all been out with our own families enjoying it, and yeah.
It's a beautiful place.
I think also, this spring, I'd love to see us have like a big cleanup day to get the, try to get as many people out there as possible to make quick work of some of the most, obvious trash that's there. And again, we want to be thoughtful and careful about how we design, access and egress and the types of, activities that, obviously we don't want to make a problem for poor Doreen and Ron and the other people on Keys Road, but we also want to make sure that all of Gardner can enjoy the land. So we're gonna proceed, cautiously and slowly in the beginning in terms of really announcing, hey, everybody come. We're not gonna do that quite, so flashy, but we're gonna, especially in the beginning when we get kind of our ideas of the sensitive areas, maybe some areas that David's talking about, the different habitats that are there. What needs to happen to those? Where should we close off to people? Where should we make more accessible to people? All of those kinds of decisions need to be made in the next few months as we design. But obviously, right now there's the roads that have been roughed in and have been paved. Obviously, please feel free to go and use them and explore and tell us what are the features that are your favorite and what are your favorite spots and where do you think might be a nice place for a bench, or where would you like to picnic, or any of those things would be great for us, feedback for us. How do you like to enjoy the property, and what's special about it? Those are things that we would love to continue to hear from you. So
Anna, could I just, I'd just like to piggyback on what you just said about the cleanup day. My name's Lucy, and I'm one of the directors of the North County Land Trust. And thank you all for your input tonight. That one of the things you all the neighbors can do for us is help us connect with people who might be able to help us manage the property. So if you have a car mechanic who has a flatbed who can help us get that car out of there that I'm hearing about, if you know the local trash guy and would welcome a charitable deduction to let us use his truck for a day. We are a nonprofit, so we have to raise every cent, either gifted or some other way with a grant which takes time to get the money to pull this stuff off. So if we can make contacts and get help from locals, that's another way you all can really give us a hand with this.
Where is that car or truck that's broken down?
We don't know.
Does it have windows?
Wait, did someone say you don't know where it is?
Yeah, Bonnie can take you.
I don't know. I'm not asking.
I don't know where the car is. I know where a snowmobile is.
We know that, yeah. We haven't seen a car.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
We've seen a snowmobile.
I was gonna say if the car had windows, maybe we could sit in it when it's raining when we're out there walking.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I have an old car I could donate.
Yeah. We don't need any more cars.
That car, that Jeep Cherokee that's on one of the it's on the western cul-de-sac, southwest.
Oh.
Been out there for a couple of years.
We haven't seen it.
Hunters
is it
had
nice?
discovered it a few years ago. I completely forgot it was out there, to tell you the truth.
Well, Riverside Junkyard's on the other side.
Yeah,
Right.
there was a junkyard on the other side of the railroad tracks.
It just didn't make it there.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, you're welcome to it if you want it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna have to go take a look.
Picking it up, and
I'm driving a 10-year-old truck now. Maybe it's in better shape than my truck.
Doubt it.
But no, it really would be good though to have the right group of people being seen out there more often. I believe Al or somebody said something like that. Maybe that would push the other people to say, okay, you know what, we're gonna go find a new place.
Yeah, this isn't our place anymore.
Because it is true. It's a beautiful area for the right group of people who care about and for that other group, it just isn't. Believe me.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been cleaning things up down there for years. It's such a beautiful area.
It really is. It's a special place.
What about hunters? Are there currently hunters down there, Ron, at all? I mean, do people?
Yeah.
Yes.
There is.
About 15.
Legally, or are they not supposed to anyway?
I've talked to most of them, and they said that they've never really had anybody hassle them about it because they do abide by the rules, I guess, of the woods.
It doesn't say no hunting. So I don't know
Right.
if that's.
I don't believe the whole area is posted. Some of it may be, but I don't believe it's the whole area, because each year we see about 15 vehicles go by, and when we walk by with the dog, it's hunters. We've
So will
never had
that
an
remain
issue with them.
Does that remain the same with conservation land? Is hunting allowed on conservation land? I don't know those kind of laws.
We do allow hunting on most of our conservation areas. Some we don't, mainly, well, Crocker Conservation Area in Fitchburg, we don't because of its proximity to the city and it's too built up. Our Underwood Conservation Area, we don't because it was donated to us and the owners didn't want hunting there. So, but most of our other conservation areas, hunting is allowed, but we do ask for hunters to apply for permits so that we know who is out there at any given time.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know that we've made a final decision yet on keys, but obviously we'll have to make that decision before the beginning of hunting season this year.
I've been here 45 years and I've never had any issue or heard of any issue with the hunters out there.
Right.
All of them I've ever seen always abide by the rules, you know, which is pretty good. And I've never heard them do anything that was scary to any of the neighbors, you know.
Yeah, we've never had issues with hunters on our conservation areas. So.
They're usually pretty respectful.
It is good to know that there are already hunters out there though, because that way we'll have to get some information out there, maybe post some signs before our hunting season and make sure people know that, you know, they gotta maybe shoot us an email, get their permit, but that we're fine with them being out there. So good
That's
to
a
know
real
that,
good
that we have
idea.
some people we need to reach.
And so that people who are hiking out there know to wear blaze orange. We post those.
Yes,
exactly.
it's true.
We've actually put orange on our dogs before because during hunting season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to Lucy's point, and other people have said the same, you know, that's where you guys are so helpful. And that's the reason for this kind of meeting is if you see someone, right, you're more than welcome to direct them towards us. We can't always predict what's going to be happening. So we love that we've got neighbors that are on our side and willing to help us communicate.
That care, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot who do care.
Yeah. And so if there are people who, you know, couldn't join us or didn't join us because of this format or whatever, please let them know that there is a walk where we are going to, you know, as Lisa
Yeah,
says.
because we heard of at least 3 other people that said they were going to join, and I don't think they're on there. So we'll let them know.
Yeah,
We will definitely tell them about the walk.
yeah. So we want to meet as many of our neighbors as possible. Get to know them and have them get to know us, and make sure that, you know, we're communicating about any issues that come up. One thing that is nice about having a landlord that's reachable and knowable is when you do have an issue, you know, we have, you know, if we post our rules and someone violates them repeatedly and we track them down, you know.
That's good.
That's
some
really good.
That's exactly what we are looking for.
So, yeah.
Somebody that'll help hold people responsible.
Yeah, so hopefully we can change the culture and it will be a nice place for everybody.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Any other things?
You're gonna have to tell my wife during the walk there's no alcohol.
Oh, Ron.
No kidding. Carry in, carry out. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, all the neighbors that know him know that he's just being a wise guy.
I picked the wrong neighborhood for that.
Yeah.
And there's also no shortage of chainsaws in the air either, so hopefully we
Right.
can get a lot of the neighborhood involved.
That's great.
That's
Right.
very true.
This is true. You got a few chainsaws.
A few. We're -3, unfortunately, because of the robbery we
'Cause
had
that might get-
last February, but
Mhm.
we did buy some new ones. We got robbed last year about the time Al got robbed
Like a month later.
from the same group of people. It's
Mm.
looking like, only we're out $3,400.
Oh,
And our stuff is at the police station in lockup, I'm told.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of culture we don't want here anymore,
That's
because
the
they
kind
use
of-
that area.
Right. So we'll be looking forward to having a good organization watch that
Right.
area. And we will definitely do our share if we can.
great.
Right.
And
Thanks.
we're pretty
Thank
close
you.
by.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Well,
so I
Thank
think
you.
to sum up, I think Bonnie had asked if we were going to have minutes. I don't necessarily have formal minutes, but I definitely will make sure that we capture all the things that we talked about. This recording will be available for those that want to watch it. And we will very shortly be getting a postcard out about the walk, which of course the walk is another opportunity for those that weren't able to meet with us here to meet with us. And it's a great chance for us to be able to chat as we explore the land and talk about the future.
Lisa, are you posting
Thank
this
Sounds good.
recording on the website, or are you going to send it out to specific folks?
Both. I'll put it up. I have an Ebenezer Keys website page, and then I will also send it out to those individuals that I have their emails. Certainly anybody that registered for today, but I have some others that I do have their emails for on the list. And again, on that postcard, I'll send another web address for the page so that people can stay up to date.
Yeah, one other thing I like to say about email, I like to put a big plug in for email because, and if I know there's not a lot of folks on the call today, but Bonnie and Doreen and Ron, and as well as David and Chris. If you know of email addresses of people in the area, get those in, because that's one way we can have a two-way communication that's fairly efficient with the neighborhood.
Right.
Phone numbers, but to call everybody would take simply hours. And
Right.
email can convey one message very, very quickly. For example, Lisa sent me an invitation to that hike on the 28th. So I was very easy for her to reach. She could reach 50 people in one step by that one.
Right.
So if you know of folks with email addresses that that we might not have, because we really only have about probably a dozen out of the 50 homes that are in that area.
Correct.
You could use a few more. It would really help. As Lucy said earlier, communication is the most important thing.
It's everything.
Important than the plans at this stage, because we want to know what people are thinking. We want people to be engaged, and if you see something happening out on the property that you think is good, if you see something happening on a property you think is really bad, you can shoot an email into our team here, Jazzy and Emily and Anna and Lisa, and they can get right on it. They'll get the message right away. They can address it for you.
That sounds good.
And if you can't remember our names, at the very least, info@northcountylandtrust.com. We all receive that. So
Okay.
info@northcountylandtrust.org.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you all again. Thanks for taking some time this evening to join in our discussion.
And
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you
Well,
all.
thank you.